Miami judge they call KBJ.
So the answer would be no.
It's not consistent with our laws, so the answer is no.
Getting grilled on the Hill for a second day. Ukrainian cities burn as Western leaders, including President Biden, meet. And sending money to someone in Cuba is now just an app click away. These stories and more are coming up on Newsbreak.
Hello, South Florida. I'm Janana Restrepo.
And I'm Nicole Castañeda. Today is Thursday, March 24th, 2022.
From the South Florida Media Network's Biscayne-based studios in North Miami, this is SFMN Newsbreak.
President Biden making an overseas appeal. The commander-in-chief joining an emergency NATO meeting to discuss Russia's war in Ukraine. President Biden begins his summit in Brussels. Back at home, his administration has published a strong statement on Russia.
As Cole Higgins from our news partner CNN reports, the U.S. has formally labeled acts committed by Russia as war crimes.
The United States government now formally accusing Russian forces of committing war crimes in Ukraine.
There have been numerous credible reports of hospitals, schools, theaters, etc., being intentionally attacked. The United Nations and other credible observers have confirmed hundreds of civilian deaths, and we believe that the exact civilian death toll will be in the thousands.
Dozens of attacks on Ukrainian healthcare facilities have been confirmed by the World Health Organization.
We are in the process of verifying further attacks.
In Mariupol, the city the United Nations humanitarian chief has labeled the center of hell in Ukraine. New aerial images reveal widespread destruction from relentless Russian attacks.
We have reached, maybe for once in my lifetime, an appropriate level of horror at what's happening in Ukraine, and particularly what's happening in Mariupol.
Amidst the destruction of a once peaceful neighborhood in Ukraine's second largest city, Kharkiv, where more than 1,100 buildings have been destroyed, a cellist plane rings through the ruins in hopes to raise awareness and funds to help restore his city. I'm Cole Higgins reporting.
As Russian forces continue attacks on civilian targets in Ukraine, the historic humanitarian crisis on Europe is worsening. According to the EU bloc chief, every second a child from Ukraine arrives in the European Union.
Starting tonight at midnight, Miami Beach will be having curfew. After having 2 shootings occurred this past weekend, the City of Miami Beach Commission unanimously voted to have a curfew put into place for this weekend's celebrations. Since the start of spring break in February, 9 officers have been injured in some way. This curfew will last 6 hours, spanning from 12 a.m. through 6 a.m.
Former Donald Trump advisor Paul Manafort was stopped at Miami International Airport trying to boarding a plane over a revoked passport. The flight on Sunday was headed to Dubai. In a court filing, the Justice Department shared that Manafort submitted 10 passport applications over the last decade, having 3 active passports with different ID numbers on each. In 2010, he was also convicted in a trial of 8 counts, including bank fraud and filing false tax returns.
Former Secretary of State Madeleine Albright has died. It was at the end of a long battle with cancer. She was the first female Secretary of State and was awarded with the Medal of Freedom. In an act to honor Albright's death, President Biden ordered the flags and the White House and federal buildings. She was 84.
New smartphone app offers a way to send money to citizens in Cuba. After a year and a half of closure with the official channels for sending payments from the U.S. to Cuba, Canadian company Revolusend announced that payments can be sent to citizens in Cuba through their application. The app, called RevoluPay, is offering its resources to 115 other countries, including Ukraine.
Delivery services have become popular within the last few years, and Instacart wants to take it a step further. And it's using Miami as a test market. Instacart is going to be testing the new service in Atlanta as well. With the new service, you can get certain groceries at Publix delivered as fast as 15 minutes.
The Miami Heat faced off against the Golden State Warriors last night. The Heat kept the game close through the first 3 quarters of the game, with the Warriors only leading by 1 point going into the 4th quarter. Unfortunately for the Heat, Golden State's offense was simply too much for them to handle, and they ended up losing to the Warriors with a final score of 118-104.
The most famous wide receiver in the NFL will be playing in South Florida next season. As the Miami Dolphins look to strengthen the team ahead of a new season, they secured the services of wide receiver Tyreek Hill on a 4-year deal after reaching an agreement with the Kansas City Chiefs in exchange for 5 draft picks. Hill, who is 28, will become the highest paid wide receiver in history, with his Dolphins deal being worth $120 million.
$4 billion in charitable giving, and it all started here in Miami.
That's still ahead, and so is the story.
I understand the need for law enforcement, the importance of holding people accountable for their criminal behavior.
The second and final day of questioning for Supreme Court nominee Ketanji Brown Jackson is in the books. Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes.
The black truck? Hey, Christina from accounting.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, I used to date a girl named Christina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then she dumped me for my best friend. You want to see some photos of them that I took?
I don't.
I thought we talked about this, buddy.
Buzz and overshared again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna call a car.
That's a smart idea.
So yeah, I know, that's why I did it.
Hey, you're gonna get back to the top of the mountain.
Does that mean I'm gonna get back with Christina?
No.
Oh.
No.
If you love me enough to tolerate my perfect little pets and all their glorious dander, then of course you'll visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure I'm in the right car seat.
When I was growing up, my mom was extremely tidy. We were trained to put things back where we got them from. One day, when I walked into my mom's house, I felt like I walked to someone else's house. There was stuff everywhere. And just growing up the way I grew up and to see this transition was very alarming.
When Sean talked to me, it was a wake-up call, and that's when I went to the doctor.
Tense moments during the second day and final day of questioning for Ketanji Brown Jackson's Supreme Court confirmation hearing. Kibe J is from Miami, and although she's expected to be confirmed, she faced some tough questions from Republican members of the committee.
CNN's Gloria Pazmino has more from D.C.
Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson arrived at Capitol Hill for one last day of questioning.
Senate Judiciary Committee will come to order.
Lawmakers focused on her criminal defense attorney record, and she responded to criticism that she has been soft on crime.
I understand the need for law enforcement, the importance of holding people accountable for their criminal behavior. I also, as a lawyer and a citizen, believe very strongly in our Constitution and the rights that make us free.
Brown talked about her brother, a former Baltimore Police Department officer and an Army veteran.
Law enforcement is a dangerous profession, and as family members, you worry when you don't get the phone call.
South Carolina Republican Senator Lindsey Graham questioned Brown on whether undocumented immigrants should be allowed to vote.
Under our laws, you have to be a citizen of the United States in order to vote.
So the answer would be no.
It's not consistent with our laws, so the answer is no.
After the hearings wrap, the committee will vote on whether to advance the nomination, which appears on track to happen. A final vote on the Senate floor will follow. I'm Gloria Pasmino reporting.
The final vote on KBJ's nomination is expected on Monday, April 4th.
Mackenzie Scott getting recognized for donating $4 billion since June. You'll remember that first donation in June was to FIU. Recently, she gave $436 million to Habitat for Humanity and $133.5 million to communities in school. And in a Medium post, she shared she has donated to Planned Parenthood and other organizations that help at-risk children, minorities, refugees, and rural health access.
That's all the time we have for Newsbreak. I'm Jenna Restrepo.
I'm Nicole Castañeda. Get more news anytime at sfmn.fiu.edu.